Today's adventure takes us to Matteson, Illinois, and here to Zion Lutheran Church Cemetery. Now, this predominantly German cemetery goes back to the 1850s, has some first settlers here from that time period. I'm going to tell you the story about a German immigrant who came here back in the 1830s, had a family, and for some reason hung himself in this area in 1898. He's buried in this cemetery. I'm also going to tell you about a woman buried in this cemetery who's a daughter of a Revolutionary War soldier. She got married. Her and her husband were part of the Underground Railroad in this area and helped slaves, and they helped the Native Americans as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. So come join me as we explore. Oh, one more thing before. There's another cemetery near here called Elliott Cemetery, which is right next door. I'm going to explore that in this video as well. So you're getting two cemeteries for the price of one today. So come join me as we explore these wonderful old German cemeteries. Welcome back, everybody, for another video. We are near a busy road, as you can probably tell. I wanted to come to the original entrance of this cemetery, which is no longer in use. We are in Zion Lutheran Church Cemetery here in Matteson, Illinois. And right as we come in here, we see the Stige monument, beautiful obelisk, probably about 15 feet in height, one of the taller monuments in this cemetery. No inscriptions on the monument itself, but we do have some here. See, Richard Stige, 1906 to 1935. Theodore, 1912 to 1931. I'm guessing that is his brother. Died young in his teenage years. And here we have Emma, 1886 to 1975. And finally George, 1872 to 1915. Predominantly German cemetery. Not surprising here in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. Most are of German descent. German, Irish, very common around here. Some old tombstones. Inscriptions can no longer be read on those. A nice one here as well. Again, unfortunately, no inscription can be read on this either. That's too bad. I think we can see an inscription on this one here. Friedrich appears to be the name. Jurgens, born, looks like 1829. Fortunately, I'm not able, I see, looks like July, maybe 1887. You can read that. That appears to be the only one there. And next to it is Emil Jurgens, 1922 to 1951, World War II. Thank you for your service. Then we have some more Jurgens family in here. It looks like Olga right there must have recently passed, as the dirt looks fresh. She was born 1928. Looks like recently passed. These look to be infant or young child graves. You see the curbing here, rather small curbing. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to read anything on those, if there is anything on those. And it looks like there was 4. So check this out. You have one here. You have one here. One here. And one here. At least they're all the same tombstones. I don't see the curbing on these. So possibly this could be father, mother, children? I don't know. But there is some writing up here on top, some inscription. It cannot be read, unfortunately. That's too bad. Another one here that's very, very, very difficult, like a lot of these. I see what looks like 1890, and that looks like 1896. It's too bad that those cannot be read any longer. It's too bad. A couple of more old ones here. Again, in German. I do not read German. I do not pretend to read German. Werner's a name. Probably Friedrich, I'm guessing, since that's common back then. 1827, 1898. Another Werner. 1826 to 1900. And I cannot tell if that's a third Werner. Looks like it might be. Yeah, it looks like Werner. It looks like Peter. Unfortunately, that one is rather worn. Okay, while we're walking through, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. One of the original pioneers in this area, John Rehfeld, R-E-H-F-E-L-D, born in Germany, 1835. But before I do that, let's see if we can find anything on this. We see the handshake, very popular tombstone marking. It's like 18 something 1. Yeah, that's too worn. And over here is the Rehfeld stone, John Rehfeld, one of the first pioneers in this area right here. Sometime before 1862. There's John, 1835 to 1898, and his wife, Mina, 1835 to 1919. So sometime before 1862, he had married Mina. They had 7 children together. On November 5th, 1870, this is pretty incredible. They, along with their 3 children at the time, arrived in New York aboard the steamship Idaho. They settled in Matteson, where John worked as a laborer in this area. On March 3rd, 1898, he went out into the woods near here, as you see these large trees, and he hung himself. So, don't know the details as to why John would hang himself. Maybe it was mental illness, or maybe there was a physical illness that he just couldn't deal with, or maybe some other reason. But right around here, somewhere in these woods, these were woods back then, John hung himself. But his grandson, Private Harry Rehfeld, he served in the 30th Infantry Regiment during World War I. And unfortunately, he was killed in France on July 15th, 1918, during one of the last German offenses of the war. And He's buried in France, and he was 18 years old. So a little tragedy there with the Rehfeld family. And this is where John and his wife are laid to rest. Here's another old monument. Arnd P. A-R-E-N-D. I've never seen that name before. Wicharts, born 1848, died 1920. And Emma, I assume that's his wife, 1856 to 1937. And we have, let's see if we can see anything here. Looks like maybe his son or daughter. No, 1845 to 1889, so I'm not sure what relation that would be. Here's Emma right here, 1872 to 1888. A little difficult to read. Another one here. Born 1843, died 1898. And 1870 and 1878. So this was a rather large family. There's John, 1897 to 1918, and George, 1903 to 1907. Again, you see a lot of that with these older cemeteries. The lifespan was not very long back then. A lot of disease, even a simple infection, and that could be it. No antibiotics back then. Fortunately, this one has fallen. Elizabeth, wife of Cromwell Wilson, 1899, 81 years of age for her. This one is right here in a tree, just about 1838 to 1925 for her. And Father Henry, I think he died 1882. And there's a bunch of bees there, so I'm not getting any closer to that. Thank you very much. As we pan the cemetery, beautiful. Beautiful day here for a walk. Got the cross, and again, this one is pretty much deteriorated to the point we cannot read it, like many of these old ones. Here we have the angel. Again, unreadable. So it's interesting, the original entrance to this cemetery runs through here, now grassed in, no longer accessible. So we do see, we still have some old telephone poles up that went along the original entrance and have some lights on them. I don't know if those still are in operation, but usually you don't see lights in a cemetery, so that's kind of interesting. Beautiful marker here. Zumullen. I'm sure that's not how you truly pronounce it, but that's how I pronounce it. October 1831 to 1909. And 1832 to 1911. Dietrich and Here's their stones right here. Eleonora, probably his daughter. Mutter, Vater. Here's Dietrich. Got Henry there. And finally over here is Philip. I always go to the ones that are difficult to read, don't I? I see an S. I believe that's an S. Something U-S-S-E. Slaus. S-L-A-U-S-S-E, perhaps. Johann. $1891 it looks like. Again, difficult to read. See if we can read this one. Probably not. Looks like Reka, R-E-K-A, 1827 and 1900. That one's leaning pretty well. Surprised it's still up, actually. Friedrich Coleman is the name on that one. Got 1836 to 1907 there. Very nice. Okay, I was debating whether I should do a separate video on this. I don't think I will. I'm going to incorporate it into this. There is another cemetery next to this one. It's called Elliott Cemetery. Now, it only has about 70 graves in it, and it's rather small. So I'm just going to cover it too. So you're going to get two cemeteries for the price of one. Actually, it doesn't cost you a dime, so the price of none. McCoy, looks like the McCoy family here. I'm looking for the grave of Sabra McCoy. Let's see if we can find that. I've got a little story to tell you about her. Here it is right here. Sabra Clark McCoy, and it says right there something that I was going to tell you. Daughter of Corporal Andrew Clark of the American Revolution. So she, is actually a daughter of a Revolutionary War soldier. She was born in Vermont in 1799, is indicated there. Married John McCoy somewhere before 1830. They had 8 children. All of them lived until adulthood, which never happens. And here's John McCoy right here, veteran of the War of 1812, born in 1793, excuse me. So they settled along Sauk Indian Road in Bloom Township, so that was near here. And that was a road used by the Indians. I mean, there were Indians back then in the early 1830s. They were in this area, Potawatomi predominantly. And most people, as they moved into this area, treated the Indians very badly. They would shoot at them and shoo them off their property. But the McCoys allowed the Indians to camp along a part of their property that was on the trail. And her and John were also station masters for escaped slaves in the Underground Railroad. So how nice is that? Great people. John McCoy and Sabra McCoy. And as we pan through here, here's the original entrance to the Elliott Cemetery. Let's go check this out. Okay, we are outside the cemetery along the busy US 30 highway. Here's Elliott Cemetery. See the cemetery sign there. The nice iron fencing along here. No longer in use. I imagine they may use this for landscaping and such, but not so much for cars. And we do see a lot of the Elliott family in here. The Elliott family did own all of this land. They were farmers at the time, and did own quite a bit of this land. Grace died in 1937, and Ida 1938. And here's a large obelisk to the Elliott family. James Elliott, 1824, he was a settler that originally came here. Harriet Elliott died 1899. James Elliott, 1889. We see Miriam was born 1861, died 1881, so she unfortunately died just shy of her 20th birthday. And then Moses, 1858 to 1918, and then May died in 1953. This is a lot and difficult to read. Let me grab my flashlight here. Here's Moses here. So he was born 1796, died March 5th, 1860. And Mary was born 1795, died 1868. Miriam, born 1821, died 1879. Henry Elliott, 1831, died 1898. Wow, Mary, 1829 to 1899. Grace, 1866 to 1937. Ida, 1873 to 1938. And finally, Freeman, 1863 to 1938. So a lot of children for the Elliott family, and there's more there. I'm not going to read through all of it. It's a lot of children, and here they all are. Okay, everybody, really hope you enjoyed this walk today at the Zion Lutheran Church Cemetery and Elliott Cemetery, right next to each other. So I thought, why not do both? A lot of history in these cemeteries going back to the 1851. Beautiful day for a walk. Thank you for joining me. And as always, until next time, that's right, keep exploring.